Hey my beautiful people, welcome back to another episode of Selfish Therapy. Guys, if this is your first time on this channel, I'm your host Lyrae. On this channel we talk about any and everything self-therapy. So if you are not ready to do the work, this may not be the channel for you. If this is your first time, welcome aboard. Alright guys, so I know from my last post, it's been a minute. I know that I owe you guys the final episode for this series of self-development, and this is the final one. I know it's pretty late, please forgive me. I think I should be back on track now, but some things was happening. You know, it happens. As being a YouTuber is not easy, especially trying to do it with life. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but I just want to acknowledge the fact that I know I haven't posted in a couple weeks, and I just want to apologize for that. But anyway, going into this episode, we're going to be touching on developing your finances. And it's going to be hopefully not too much of a long video. But the goal is, how can we develop financially so that we can get better? Whether that's saving, budgeting, and all those beautiful things that come with financial stability and success. So if you are interested in hearing about that, stay tuned and let's get right into the video. Alright guys, but with that said, let's get right into it. So first thing, as I said to you, I wanted to talk about how can we develop ourselves financially, right? It's not easy. It's not always the easiest way depending on the circumstances that you're in. However, making small progress can actually get you to that point. Sometimes we do things like trying to live outside of our means, trying to impress or keep up with the Joneses. There are certain things that we do that sometimes put us into financial deficit, I guess, if that even goes together. But that's my son just passing by, of course. And I know that sometimes people experience, you know, there are people out there that's truly living paycheck to paycheck with, you know, they're doing the best that they can with what they have. So it really depends on if you truly can. Like, if you are able to sacrifice and just put that extra effort in and stay consistent, these are some habits that after doing them over and over, after some time, you'll be able to see a little bit of breakthrough and a little bit of leeway in your finances. Okay? And whether you're living paycheck to paycheck, these habits will still help you to, you know, stay on top or stay on track of your spending and, you know, savings if you're able to, and so forth. All right, so we're going to talk to some of those. And as you guys know, you should be used to by this. If I'm looking down, I'm actually paying attention to my notes. All right, so the first one I want to touch base on is investing in yourself every single day. And this might sound like a little bit off topic, but in reality, it's not. Hear me out. Investing in yourself means you must understand how money works, how finances work, so that you can become better at it, right? You need to understand. We're talking about the credit system. We're talking about saving, banks, and what's going on with your money. How do you get paid? Taxes, all these things, all these different things that contribute to finances, that you must educate yourself on. How do you do that? You can watch videos. You can make sure that you're reading these contracts and asking questions before signing. If you go to get a credit card, understand what kind of debt you're putting yourself into. Understand what are the consequences, right? Does it really make sense for you to get it? You want to, if you are saving, what are you making any interest? Does it make sense? Compare between different institutions to see how you can make the most out of your money. You get paid. Look at your taxes. What is coming out of your check? Are these mandatory things? So you want to understand how these things work, and the only way you can do that is invest in you. Educate yourself. Read books. There are tons of books out there that teach you on these things. Spend some time on some videos, free videos. YouTube gives you a ton of information. Just Google and researching. We're not saying that everything out there is facts, but if you're seeing the same information consistently across the board, that's a great way for you to say, okay, this may be some solid information. Another thing is, look at people that are financially successful. I know that you can't know unless they're in their bank account, because some people make believe and pretend, but look at certain habits that certain people have that look like the life that you want, right? When it comes to finances, you definitely want to, there's some things that, and some habits that you can pick up out of those by watching those. So investing in yourself is number one. Educate yourself on finances, how money work, on investment, how institutions like banks and these things, how they work, what happens to your money, how you can make more money, and taxes, all the things that you have to pay for to live when it comes to finances. Please make sure that you educate yourself on those. Learn more. Learn how your statement, your credit card statements, any contract that you sign that involves any type of finances, make sure that you understand what you're getting into. So that's number one. Number two is you want to understand how to budget. With your family, make sure that this is not just a one-off conversation. For your husband, y'all sit together as a family and you budget. You talk through some of the things that you want to make sure that you're looking at. Is you want to pay attention to your input and your output. What is coming in? What is going out? Are you staying within that budget? Right? You set a budget, and once you set it, you said, all right, this is what we have. You want to sit down and tailor out what your finances are, your monthly expenses, what the monthly income is. Where can you shift a little bit, move a little bit to create some room for saving, right? I don't care if it's $5 additional that you can put in your savings, put it. Now, there is a thing where people say you pay yourself first. Some don't agree with it, some agree with it. It may be a little bit more difficult for others to do, only because there are people, like I said before, that's living paycheck to paycheck, and they could barely cover their expenses with what they currently have. So you must know, if you really dig deep and really say, if I make this sacrifice, can I do this? If I pass up that additional purchase, can I save this money, right? You should know. But you want to know, you set in your budget. When you set your budget, you stick to it. Are we staying within our budget? And make sure that your kids are being educated, your husband, everybody in the household should be educated and understand what's going on. It's not a secret, right? One, you want to teach your kids these habits. You want them to understand, and teaching them early is the key. You want to make sure that you and your husband, your partner's on the same path, or your wife, you guys are on the same path. Understand it. Even if it's one person that manages what the finances for the household, the other person must be consulted and informed. The right hand must know what the left hand is doing. Anytime there's a disconnect, there's issues, right? So that's number one. But number two. Another part of number two, which should have been the first thing, is that, guys, you know me, I'm a firm believer in Christ. Seek God first. Just the same way we seek God about our health, the same way we go to Him and seek Him when we're in issues, when we want Him to take us out of problem. Seek Him first. Ask Him to reveal to you any areas of increase in your finances. He will show you. Sometimes it's really just presenting what you have and asking for more knowledge. He'll give you wisdom about it. Trust me. Seek the Lord first and His righteousness, and all these things will be added onto you. All these things also includes your finances and your money and your spending habits and all those things. Because let me tell you something, whether you want to believe it, yes or no, that is another way or area that the enemy attacks you, right? People want money. They tell you that the love of money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say that you're not supposed to have money. It doesn't say that you shouldn't want money, because that's what we need to live, right? Money is a huge part of living. But It's what you do to get it. And sometimes people that are in certain circumstances, the enemy can test them. So the enemy will test you to do something wrong or something illegal so that you can make ends meet. But if you seek God first, you won't end up in a situation where, not to say you won't be tested, but you won't be in that situation where you can't hear his voice to do what is right. Seek him first. Present your finances to him. This is also a part of your life, a part of living, a part of surviving, and he wants to see you win. So that should have been number one. But, I just want to say, so pray about your finances, present what you have to him, ask him to open up and show you areas where you can increase in your finances, right? So those are the things that you want to talk about when you meet with your family and when you are going through your budget, right? Make sure that you're bringing those things to him. So next up is your progress, tracking your progress, staying top of it, staying consistent and tracking. How do you know that you're meeting your financial goals? So one of the things is you want to have some long-term and short-term goals. We spoke about some of this in the previous videos. So this is also one of those things. You want to make sure that you have some kind of a plan, some type of a goal that you want to achieve. So that could look like, I want to change my car. I want to purchase a home. I want to move to a new state. I want to open a business. There's so many things that could be your long-term or short-term financial goals. It could be, I want to start investing in properties. I need this amount of money. So you want to plan towards that. So, but you want to, these monthly habits or monthly things that you are doing to get to that large goal or that bigger long-term goal. How are you tracking? How do you know that you are on track? You're staying in progress, right? So you want to make sure that you're looking at this. This is why it's very important to have these monthly meeting cadences. You want to make sure that you are sticking with it, or every time you get paid, whichever way works for you, but you definitely want to have meeting cadences and where you're really sitting down and doing your budget and going through each of these things step by step to understand that here's what I have now is what I'm saving this month. Let me make sure that we're on progress. Did I stay within budget last month? What do I need to do this month to make sure? Do I need to be a little bit more aggressive? Do I have room to make an additional financial sacrifice? What can I do, right? So those things you want to make sure that make sure that you're working on tracking any progress and if you're on track to meeting your long-term or short-term financial goals, right? But next up is where you can make your savings automatic. So that's one thing that worked for me. When I was learning how to save, I realized that not being able to see, like, if I had to physically say, hey, let me just take this out of this account and put it in here, or hold the money in my hand, sometimes I just wouldn't do it. So I will tell you this, one of the biggest things, especially in the beginning stages of learning how to budget and save and become, more financially stable, is people are just not disciplined enough. You have to be disciplined. How do you start that? I always use this analogy. I always use this situation where I said, listen, if you know that you are an alcoholic and you're trying to break that habit and that addiction, do not go sit into a bar. Tracking with me? So here's why I say that. Because you're going to be tempted. So it's the same thing. If you know that you struggle with being disciplined to say, I am going to take this money in my hand and put it into my account and not touch it, here are some ways that you can get it done without having it in your hand. Because once you hold it, you're going to have 1,000,001 things that you're going to spend. You want to buy and spend. That never ends. It's really about being disciplined and saying, hey, I'm not going to do it. So it really starts with, so let me tell you what I did. I had the option to have my funds automatically transferred. To have it directly deposited in my account. And then I had a savings account where once I get paid, it automatically transferred my saving amount. So I set a certain amount into my to automatically transfer into my savings without me touching it, I don't have to do the transfer myself. I just had both accounts on my direct deposit. A certain amount goes into my savings account and the other goes into my checking account. That was first. I didn't have to physically have the funds in my hand, and that kind of helped me to not even to think about that. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't check your account, but it kind of motivated me to see that money growing every single month. Every time I go in there and get my paid, I see that money growing. It kind of motivate me to want to get to a certain amount, right? And that's another thing too. I set a budget I'm gonna challenge myself to save a certain amount. And then watching that money grow and getting closer to my goal motivated me and in truth and in fact made me realize that I could actually do it. That's where it starts. Start with your mind and breaking certain habits and disciplining yourself, right? So now you have found a workaround for not holding the cash in your hands, which makes it a little bit more difficult to spend, but not fully, right? So here's where the other portion comes in. Sometimes people get a savings account, they get a card for that savings account as well. And if they run low on funds in their checking account, they automatically let me just use this. Let me just use the savings. You're still using it. That's defeating the purpose. So what I tell people, and what I did was I did not get a card for my savings account. If I want to, and then initially until you're disciplined enough, you have to, anytime you want money out of your savings account, you literally have to go to the physical bank to get that money, right? Sometimes it's going to be like, oh, we can't, because, man, we want to do everything quick, right? So what that does is kind of forces you to only go to the bank if it's an emergency where you have to. You have no choice. You said, listen, I have to go. But if it's just a regular purchase or a regular thing that you don't need, chances are you're not going to just get in your car or walk or whatever you gotta do to get to the store, to get to the bank, so that you draw the money so you can come back and do a purchase. It makes it a little bit harder for you to access those funds, right? But you know that it's there. So those are some small little habits that would help you to develop the discipline of saving and the mindset of saving and making sure. So until you are able to say, I am not touching that money, you need to do those little things. All right. But I would say having funds automatically transferred to your account where you don't physically have to hold it. Do not hold on to, if you don't necessarily need to get a card, make it a little bit more difficult for you to access the funds. That will help you to develop those habits of, keeping your savings, not touching it, and let it do what it's supposed to do. Because you definitely want to have some kind of emergency funds. You want to make sure that you have some cash reserve, some liquid cash reserved for you in the event that you need it, right? So that's something that you can look into. Get direct deposit if you don't have it, and doing those other things. All right, another thing is you want to get into the habit of doing some kind of investment. We all know that investments comes with risk, right? And the bigger the risk, the bigger the payout. But it's also the bigger the loss, right? So you want to understand. So I would say, I think some kind of investment is really good. You can start off really small. There's tons of things that you can invest in that's out there for you. Start off with one, educating yourself on investments. I am not fully educated on it. I'm still learning. There are some things I have some investments, right? But I started off really small, doing little things. So if I lost, it wouldn't be a lot, and that's just me testing the waters. you could do it different. Some people are risk takers, they'll just dive right in. Others are, shy, or not shy, but I call them scaredy cats. They might not do it. They just, they choose a different route, let's say that. But I would say this, get into the investment world, understanding how it works, what's investment, what are some, understand the risk, because there are different levels of risk in investing, and just figure out if that's something that you're interested into. That's another way that will help you to have to kind of like baseline, or help to support your financial stability and help you to build wealth, in long-term wealth. So I would say look into that. I would also say make sure that you can do some professional investing and you do some personal investing, right? Just educate yourself on that, understand what that means. There are tons of information that's out there. There are books out there, there are blogs out there, there are videos on YouTube that you can use to pretty much understand better how you can invest, and where, depending on where you are right now financially, where to start and what benefits that would have for you, whether short term or long term. All right, so that's something that will help you with your finances. One other thing I wanted to say, which I'm not going to go deep into it, but if you have if you're deep in debt, you want to work out getting yourself out of that, right? You want to make sure, so paying your bills is one thing. Those are your bills that they're not going to go away as long as you have those services, right? That's not going to go away. Saving is your money, what you're putting away for your, what we call rainy day. But if you're actually in debt, it's going to get a little bit more difficult, and there are some habits that need to be done to get yourself out of debt. I think I'll do a separate video for that, only because it's it's not as easy as a blow over, because I think people really need help on how to dig themselves out of debt. I'm not debt free either. Right? So but there I try to learn how I can do things on a little bit faster than than what these debtors expect you to keep. Does that make sense? Than what these debtors expect, right? The goal is to, how can I get myself out of this faster? I'm pay less interest, to get ownership of certain things. As we already know, credit and debt runs this country, this whole place. So getting out of debt is something that you definitely want to educate yourself on. What are some of those habits that you can do? And if you'd like, I can definitely do a video. I might just do a video just to talk a little bit more about that, because then I also do some research on maybe some things out there that I am not privy to. But that's one thing. Another thing is, I need to mention this. If you're a believer like I am, one of the things that I feel like helps with financial prosperity is tithing. The Bible tells you 10% of your income must be given back to glorify the Lord, right? Which is, if you're a member of a church, make sure that you're tithing. I have seen great increases when I'm disciplined enough to tithe. I won't lie to you, I've seen great turnarounds. I'm not tithing to give back. I'm tithing to say, hey God, I'm being obedient to what you've asked me to do. I'm being disciplined enough. I'm showing discipline and a good steward over my money, and understand that you've blessed me with this. Here's what I'm giving back. I'm being obedient to what you asked me to do. So it doesn't mean that you're gonna tithe and you're gonna just get back. Oh, I gave it to you, so I'm gonna get it back. That's not it. He wants your heart. He wants to know that you're being disciplined, and then all things will make sure that you have all the promises that he gave you financially, and just all the favor. But you have to show that you are, you're being disciplined and a good steward over what he gave you. Too, it tells you, it says, it's not pretty much, I forgot what the Bible verse is, but don't expect to have more if you can't manage the little that you have, right? Does that make sense? All right, so I just wanted to show that that's a huge thing, very huge. You believer like me, make sure that you guys are tithing, make that sacrifice, and that should be first. All right, guys, so those are a few examples of some habits that you can incorporate into your daily lives that will help to support and stabilize your finances, right? I think there are some that you may have to tailor depending on your circumstances, but there are others that no matter what you are doing or how much you're making, make sure that you're doing them. One of those is praying about your finances, taking it to God. The other is making sure that you're tithing, making sure that you're showing up and showing God that you're disciplined enough that you're able to manage what He's giving you right now, so that whenever He blesses you with a bigger favor, when He favors you with more, you are also, He trusts that you are a good steward to also manage more, right? So you want to show that discipline. And budgeting, no matter how much you have, no matter how much you're gaining, you need to budget. Try your hardest to save, right? And then some of the others that you may, once you start doing those and you're seeing a little bit of an increase, and you start incorporating some things like your investments, you want to start looking at your debts and making some changes, which you can expect that video coming up that would make those changes. And as time go by, you'll see the compound growth of these small changes. They'll compound and to bigger gains as time go by. So I just wanted to say to you guys, listen, we can all do it. I'm not financially just free out here just spending. There are things and habits that I had to incorporate and do in order to see the change that I'm seeing now, but there's also still room and areas of opportunity for me to grow more financially. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope that you learned something from this video today. One book I read that I can remember off the top of my head is Rich Dad Poor Dad. I also read this, I forgot what it's called, and I'll try to link it if I can find it. It teaches you about just finances when it comes to business and how they operate. Pretty much how money works. There are tons of books out there. Just Google, guys. Google, YouTube, and they'll tell you. One day at a time, read those books and start investing in yourself. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you do, leave me a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on your post notification bell to be notified whenever I post new content. With that said, guys, I'm gonna love you guys and leave you until next time. Do not forget to stay committed. All right, stay consistent and committed to your self-development. Love you guys, and bye for now.